left, churned. Why? Because the product was shitty. It didn't work. So we didn't scale properly in time. We didn't build the proper architecture of the product. Features were crappy. User interface was horrible. So it really sucked. So everyone left. So we almost failed. But ultimately, then what I would advise, we raise the money from investors. And investors always want you to raise the money to scale. I think it would be a more sound principle to, get a portion of the funds you're raising for refactoring the product. You need to do that. You need to plan for the refactoring. You should plan the budget for the refactoring. You should plan the time and resources for the refactoring. It's unavoidable. Once we fix the product, we managed to get back on track, and then we achieved a historic record results. But it was a painful process. It was we didn't know what's going to happen with the company. It was very, very stressful. But ultimately, this is the process, and those are the principles that allowed us to grow and ultimately achieve the most competitive product on the global market and sell the company. So we went through the worst case there is, but we managed to pivot out of it by following these principles.
For competitiveness, Dražen, what do you think about product differentiation? Is it important today or not? Product/business differentiation.
I mean, it's not that important to be different. It's important to solve the real problem and to be recognizable. So that people can really map the product to the needs they have. So like we have, I don't know, Caladont as a toothpaste or something similar. So if you can become a synonym as a software or any kind of other product for the problem that you're solving, I think that is most important. So I can also say that during this, you will also go through different chasms, and we also experienced one of those things when we actually, we were like, okay, we are B2B SaaS and we are focused on inbound marketing and growing our ARR, and we will have the partners who will do the implementation. So basically everything was like so wrong with that, because we didn't take into account that our potential customers are not mature. So basically some of them, they are mature. They know what they need, and we are talking about their needs with them, and we are putting this in our roadmap and delivering on that. But most of the customers, they don't know what they need. They don't know what first step they should do. So actually what we had to do, start delivering maturity assessments and consulting for them to point them into right direction, where to go. So it's different for different products in different markets. If the market is mature, like, I don't know, automobile industry, so everybody knows what they want from their car. So do they want like a small city car? Do they want like a SUV or a limousine or whatever? But if you are talking about, I don't know, multi-agent assistance or privacy, governance and automation platforms or a telemetric solution, they just don't have a clue. So basically, by this interaction, helping them to understand what they need, I think you can do really, really good results. So we can go back to the Jerry Maguire, the famous movie, and one of the famous quotes from that movie is, help me to help you. So,
Yes.
and basically this kind of feedback that you have, I think, can make you a brand and recognizable and ultimately successful.
Mm-hmm. So from the movie, Show Me the Money, Marian, let's talk about metrics, how we can measure market fit. So in telematic business, the metrics are the core of a product model. So what would be your advice about metrics? So previously it was all about money. The success of the product was related to income and sales results. Today we are talking about customer engagement activities.
Sales income is a limited metric, not pointing out to a potential or real problems you might be facing. So I would not advise to judge everything in your company simply by that simple metric. Let investors judge the company by that metric alone. But there are other supporting metrics, and when we are talking about the product, it always comes to the user. So, for example, let me give you a plastic example to understand the difference. We were hitting our sales targets at the same time when we had 90% user churn. So, is it a success, or is it a huge opportunity missed? So maybe we planned wrong. Maybe we should have been more ambitious with our plan. We should reveal that we suck in product management. So ultimately, it's two things, I would say. First of all, once you onboard the customer, which is a metric more related to marketing, are you successful in bringing people on your product? Great. Give marketing team a bonus. Then the second thing is, do they stay? Which is most important from my point of view, depending on the business model, although, but in SaaS industry, where I'm coming from, it's very important because it means recurring revenue, which is the key KPI for everything and investors and so on. So do they stay? And if they stay, are they engaged? I would say this is the third metric. And we spend a lot of time in fine-tuning these metrics. And only once you measure these supporting metrics for the product, you actually realize, are you doing a good job or not? And you need to compare it with other industries, although, as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Is it hard to commit all teams, about metrics and goals? I'm talking about connecting developers, project managers, product managers, researchers, and whole team.
I mean, it's very important for the organization to have a metric that is relevant, that is transparent, so that everybody in the company understand how they contribute to the company goals. But depending on a field of expertise you have or the domain of business you're responsible and accountable for, you might contribute to a different KPIs. But it has to be very transparent in a company how these OKRs or KPIs build on top of each other so that the company achieves its goal. Yeah?
Okay, Heidi, AI. AI question and market fit. What does AI have to do with market fit? So I have recent survey says that more than 30% of product teams use AI in product development process. It actually helps them to speed up process. They can skip some repetitive tasks, and also AI can improve prediction of product market fit. So are the teams skillful with AI and in product development?
Well, one thing that has happened with the emergence of large language models is that now there are products coming out where you don't necessarily have to have AI expertise to use those products. When we had machine learning and deep learning, that was completely different game, because you really had to have very often in-house expertise, people who would understand how those models work or what to do with them, how to implement them, how to integrate them. Now we have products such as GitHub Copilot, which allows software developers to write code much more quickly, especially the senior ones. So those who are more experienced, they can out of a sudden be so much more efficient because they can write much more code and maybe even better code in a shorter span of time. So yes, AI brings a lot of automation, and that is where it can help in any part of the business, including the product development. What is happening now as well is the emergence of so-called AI agents and what Dražen mentioned, multi-agent systems, because that's where we're in, which are going to bring automation to a completely new level, I dare say. Because what we see and also what we are developing is a little bit maybe scary how well they work already, because they can literally take over a lot of tasks and execute on those tasks. So right now, maybe you have heard of so-called GPT assistants that OpenAI has come out with, where you can kind of train your own agent and kind of specialize it, focus it a little more to deliver on some specific tasks, which can be, for example, what I mentioned, to the software development and writing code. But now, what is going to be possible very soon is to build a team of specialized agents where they themselves communicate and collaborate and can handle much more complex tasks. So for example, now you can simply write the code much quicker, but soon you'll be able to maybe completely delegate the code writing, but not just code writing, but also accessing different systems, making changes on the system as well. So one of the tools that we soft launched it, and it's a little bit in testing, but now I think next week we are going to release it to the wider audience, which is an example of how multi-agent systems can work. This will be our showcase specifically for optimization of digital advertising campaigns. So where you as a user you simply chat with, as if when you're using ChatGPT, so you chat with an agent where you tell it a little bit about your business and what are your goals with advertising. And then it creates new teams specifically based on the need and then delegates the tasks. So for a start, we're just working on Google Ads campaign. We'll be adding new ad networks. But what it means is that you, for example, as a small business user who don't know how to do Google Ads yourself, or you don't have enough resources and funds to hire a freelancer or an agency, so you chat with the agent, you say, okay, I want to raise awareness of my business or increase sales. This is my website, this is a little bit my business, and then you have agents that create the campaign from scratch. They create a campaign, ad groups, they write ads, so copy, descriptions, they create keywords. But the thing is, they also connect to your Google Ads account and they initiate a campaign. So they do everything for you. So when we see what can be done, and we see so much potential with it in almost every aspect of businesses and developments, I think the next few years are going to be very, very interesting to see and observe what are the possibilities and what are additional automations and improvements in speed and efficiency that can happen when it comes to product development, including figuring out, okay, what is the best way to achieve the product market fit? Because that's the thing with AI, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't need rest. It can collect a lot of data, it can analyze a lot of data, and it can come back to you with some analyses of what's going on, what might be the problems. Like what you said, they had such high churn, but maybe nobody really paid attention to it. But here you could possibly have systems that will highlight it for you. And okay, this is the area you need to focus on. So yeah, AI is developing very, very quickly. And I think everyone should at least be aware of what's going on. If you're not already using it, start using it, start playing with it. And I'm sorry, there's a fly around me. Because as Marian said, change is the only constant in the world, and technology is really changing quickly, and it's going to be involved in everything. So we need to be prepared for that change.
We will continue with this topic next year. Okay, a couple of minutes and last question. Your advice for closure question about market fit. Marian, please.
I can add one thing to the earlier discussion because I think it's relevant. So yes, in Croatia, there are certain limitations, like you don't have access to capital like some other countries do have. Second humongous limitation is the non-existent home market for advanced software products. Non-existent is an exaggeration, actually super small is what I want to say. But even if we and our teams would get the funds or capital, we are still not in the green because the lack of know-how and competences in this particular domain would not allow us to use that capital properly, which is why I would definitely try to raise the awareness on how important it is really to steer and control the product according to the best practices. Otherwise, you might be wasting all that capital that you hard earned in a horrible way. So just we need to raise awareness more on how important product management really is, and we are lacking on that capability currently.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marian. Great point. Heidi, please.
Yeah, to just build on top of that, yeah, we do have almost a non-existent market, and yet we are still big enough and good enough for testing and validating, I dare say, and maybe be kind of a springboard to scale globally, if not, I mean, depending where you want to go. If you want to go just regionally, but when it comes to startups, their dream is usually to go globally. But yes, we did mention that going to market as soon as possible to get feedback is important, but scaling is a whole other ball game, and that needs to be approached in a proper manner and with a lot of know-how. And I think that's one of the also big issues in Croatia, that we don't have a lot of people that really know how to build a global business. So try to find, people with experience and the knowledge to help you with that.
Thank you, Heidi. Dražen?
So what I would add is two things. So to really have a good fit, you need to listen to your customers, but your customers from both sides of maturity level. So you need to listen also to very mature customers who know what they want to implement this into the product functionality, but also to the customers who are very, very low maturity level, and to try to understand their needs and guide them to become customers of the product with the features that they need. And the other thing is, you always need to discuss this within your project team, and you need to do this multidisciplinary. So from product perspective, from engineering perspective, to see how complex would be to develop and to implement something. And also, of course, from the market opportunity perspective, and also a way how to communicate this in the market. And if you can manage to see this problem or opportunity from different angles that include the need from the market, the value that you are providing, the way how you communicate it, then you can be successful in all of that.
Great point. So I hope we discovered some secrets and shared with all of you. Thank you very much for your contribution. It was really a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Heidi, Dražen, Marian and Marina. Stay there just one moment, take a seat, one moment, hold on. Again, if there may be right now, there may be people who've listened to you and they want to challenge you on some of the things you've said, don't agree with some of the things you said, or like to know a little bit more. Now's the time, quickly, if you have a question you'd like to ask the panelists, pop your hand up, I'll pass you the microphone right now. Any questions at all? consistently no. That's okay, that's fine. Anyway, if you do, I'm sure in the next half an hour, you might want to ask a question over a coffee. We are about to have a well-deserved coffee break. It's half an hour. It's downstairs, out the way. So you're out here, turn right, go downstairs by the pool. Coffee's waiting, sun is shining, and we're going to have a nice half an hour coffee break. And then back here at 12 o'clock, really delving into strategic aspects of product development. So join us back here, Product World 2024.
Idemo slikat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We've had a coffee, we've had some chats and conversations. Hopefully they went well. Hopefully the coffee went well. I don't know, but looking by your faces, hopefully it did. Right, first of all, before we go any further, room temperature, if you're feeling, if it's fresh, or maybe the question should be, if it's too fresh in here, can you just put up your hand? For you, if it's for you too fresh, like it's too much, it's too cold, basically. Right, okay. If it's just right, hands up. Okay. If you really don't care, put your hands up. I don't know what we can do with that because we'll see what we can do. But if it does get too much, please let us know. Right, we move on to our next session. Ideas, they're coming at us all the time. We are creating ideas constantly. A lot of them go in a bag, go in a drawer, and we forget about them. Some of them we look into even further, and some of those actually move on further to blossom into something even more beautiful going forward. But here's the thing: this next session is really about looking at or finding the right idea, choosing that right idea, obviously to save you a lot of time and effort and energy, and making sure that is the right idea going forward. Next session right now, the gentleman who's going to be sharing his insights with you is going through that constantly with the work he does. Please, I'm intrigued as much as you are really to hear this and see how this can help you and me as well, really to make better decisions in terms of those ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome right now Chief Product Officer of SofaScore, Mr. Marian Živic.
Thank you for such a nice introduction. I would like you first to imagine yourself in a cozy cafe drinking your coffee, and then ding, there's a moment, you have a great idea. First thing you do, you are really anxious and try to write it down. Then anxiety overwhelms you. Somebody will come up with that idea before me and suggest it before me. Now try to imagine you are a new product manager in a company. You get a new product team, and you get a new project, an empty sheet of paper. What do I start with? Imagine even more common situation where you have already established product with great features, with great number of users, and you are overwhelmed with the ideas. You have a bunch of ideas on the table. How do you select the right one? So Idea Quest is actually something I will speak about, is the way how to pick the right idea and how to deliver it right. So, as I was already introduced, my name is Marian Živic. I'm Chief Product Officer at SofaScore. I have a question for you. How many of you is familiar with SofaScore? Okay, great. So I don't have to go into details, features, and all of that. I will not. So SofaScore is a sports application. It's a live score application. So the main functionality or main value that we give to our user is who was playing when and what was the result. That's the live score. So if you try to remember, what was the first live score application? It was actually teletext. You know what teletext is? You take the remote and you find your league, you find your club, you find the match, you see the results. And actually that was the first ever application. So after that, most of the web pages that were live score in the 90s and 2000 were copying that model. You have the teletext. That's the way we have to do it. We find the league, find the match, and find the results. And it was like that for, I think, 15 or 17 years. And then came SofaScore. And what we noticed is that one part of the information and of the value that we are giving to our users are these, league, player, match, result. But we also have additional statistics that you can well incorporate into the product and give it as an additional value. We can also connect the media content and give it, I want to see, who scored. I want to see the goal as soon as possible. We also noticed that we could be, we could be the application that helps people collect the data about sports events. So our mission is to connect the world with the sports, and sometime in the future have every possible match in the world that has a referee and have it on our environment. SofaScore in its core is hardcore software developer company. And it's funny thing, my background is software developer. And when you code a lot, it really turns down your creativity at some point. When you are a hardcore software company, you are trying to resolve more of technical issues. That's why in SofaScore, it's really important to have some kind of system of ideas and how to filter them all out. So what SofaScore noticed, although we were a software developer company, what we noticed really fast was significance of the product design. So if you just develop the functionalities and publish them into application, and it's like messy, you're losing your users. And we noticed the importance of product design. We also noticed the importance of UX, user experience. And we put a lot of effort from the start to connect this product design and user experience with high-end technology. What we did with these statistics and all other data, we find a convenient and an amusing way how to connect, all these statistics. Statistic data is boring, if you had, Excel sheet and look at that data, it's like there is no emotion in it. But if you put a little color into it, if you connect it with highly emotional events, which football matches are, any sport match are, then you get emotion from that data. And emotion is something that engages user. It's not pure statistics. And when you relate emotion with objective data, then fun happens. I will give you some examples. So our content produces emotions and reactions, and it's funny because it's objective. We are doing that with a hard-coded algorithms, and people see it, and people get engaged. It's really funny. So what I must say about SofaScore, SofaScore was profitable from the start. I often hear, people come to me and say, yeah, you're a really good startup. And so startups are not profitable by definition. They are here to become profitable. Then they say, okay, you are a small company. You are trying to put, organization. That's why you are a startup. We have organization. We are using the best models from other IT companies and all that. So we were profitable from the beginning. Why did I put this slide among the first slides? And how does it relate to idea? Usually we have a bunch of ideas. Every employee is our user. So you can imagine my role. My role is like a selector of a national team. And I have 300 of them inside of the company telling me, that's wrong, we should do that, we should do that, we should do that. And the key thing you have, and the key thing that we all neglect is business model. So what is our business model? I will not go deep into, numbers and charts and everything. So SofaScore, like any app or social network, is actually a media product. It collects people like our content, they spend time in the application, and what we sell the views. We sell the views of the little ad components in the application. Is that, do I have to go deeper? So that's Facebook is doing that, Google is doing that, Instagram, all the social networks are doing that. Our model is that we are selling views. We are often neglecting the users that like our content are our users. We love them and we do the content for them. But our business users that are displaying the ads and the content in those ads are also our users. And we should not forget about them. So there are many companies that say we have a product. I had really interesting discussion before this. So I was software engineer before and working for a company that works a lot of business for government, for telcos and all of that. And we also had, product portfolio. But if you have one successful implementation of any technology platform, one successful solution, and you cannot replicate it easily, you can argue with me, but that's not a product. If you do not have a business model that can soon be profitable, does not have to be profitable immediately, that soon can be profitable, and it's not all around, it has a specific customer segment, business segment, then you will avoid many risks of technical debt, building on top of it every day, every month, and all of that. SofaScore had really clear business model and really clear idea and segment that was narrow enough to build a stable product. Stable product means it's stable technically, it does not crash. But second thing, it means it's stable financially, You have the revenues, you have the profit, and you can grow your user base. Okay, I will not go into all technical details how we do things. If you would like to hear more about technical details, you can ask me questions later, we can speak later. But I would like to give you some examples of some key features that we did during this time and the funny stories how it became successful. So SofaScore at first was one little team, one software development team. CEO Zlatko Hrkac was, I would say, CEO, and he was the main product manager. So we were already displaying these live scores and statistics and everything, and we noticed that one page had something that they called player rating. It was for football only. Football is really strange sport. You can collect as many statistical data on it, and one team will win in these statistical data and lose the match. You are all aware of that. Can hold the ball for 90% of the time and lose the match. And what we came up was, you have like 200 or 300 these special statistic measures that we acquired from our data feeds. And if you show something like that to the end user or some sports fan, it would be like, okay, no interest. But if you create an algorithm and sum all these data and calculate it and show one number and call it SofaScore statistical player rating, then it turns into emotion. And it's a funny story. I think 3 months ago, we noticed a post on X social network. There was some crazy fan that liked Ronaldo a lot, but that do not like Messi. And he put a lot of effort to create a screenshot of GitHub and some, lines of code to prove that SofaScore has a line code if Messi ++1 for the rating. So that's the emotion that gets around that one number. And this was 2015. We implemented that one number that is rating, apart from all 200, 300 statistics, we implemented one number. And this was a key feature that differed our product from all the other live score matches. So what happened? People started talking about the statistical player rating on the social networks. We even pushed, this information on social networks. People, Croatia was playing against Slovakia or something, and I was in a bar watching the game, and most of the people were watching the game but had SofaScore opened, and we have this rating updated live during the match. And people were not watching the match. They were arguing if Brozovic has 7-0 or 7-1. It's funny. It creates emotion. It creates engagement. We like the emotion. We like the engagement. I told a lot about business model, but the second thing, and it's not least important, it's as important as a business model, is the user. How does SofaScore know its user? So the first thing we like to see, it's a mobile application. You have to publish it on stores, App Store, Play Store. After each release, we are reading the store reviews, seeing what the people are saying about the app. We also have a feedback form inside the application, and it's crazy. People are actually writing, you know, hey, I would like to put this in the product. Why do you not have some other features? They're giving us ideas and ideas. We have a support team that also communicates with power users and collecting more ideas. We also have internal Slack channel. As I said, 300 employees, everyone is user, and everybody thinks, you know, he knows better the application than the other one. So this is also one of the sources of the ideas. And at the end, we are doing extensive user experience testing, both quantitative and qualitative. And you get a lot of information about the users speaking through these tests and by analyzing surveys that we do often. So when you have, this is like 5 streams of ideas, you really fast have like 200, 300 ideas on the table. And you have to know, what are we doing? What's our next feature? We have 25 sports, 25 million users. Okay, which idea is right? So I will go back a little bit. So we have to know the business, we have to know the user. And the company grew a lot in the last 2 years. So I was here in 2021, it was like 100 of us. Now there are 300 of us. There were 2 software development teams when I entered the SofaScore. Now there are no software, cross-functional teams, 2 of them. Now there are 11. And we hired additional people, created additional team, content marketing, user acquisition, sales, traffic, data operations teams, and whole structure. What happens in that grow? It's like inflating. It's really hard to go back to the business model. What is our business model? It's just one sentence. Get more users, engage them more in the app. When you have all these new teams, they're starting to specialize on some specific, you know, materials, of, subjects of their own, and they lose the focus. They do not see what is our major purpose. Get the users and find the good content for them. That's, you know, that's the business goal. What we did in this year and last year, we implemented a framework. It's just, I will not speak about the framework. It's OKR, I will not speak about it. It's just one of the frameworks. But what I wanted to say, you need to have some set of higher goals, because teams will get lost really soon. Like 10, 11 teams, just product, 10, 11 product teams, they get lost. What are we doing? What feature is good for us? What is not? They start to work on problems that are their own problems, but do not represent any value to our users. So it's OKR, it's objective and key results. What we did define are some high for key objectives for long term. I would just mention one here. This has become the #1 sports platform in the world. What you do not see here this is the most important key objective, top objective. It's ambitious, but you do not see here live score. We do not see ourselves anymore as a live score. There are multiple functionalities that we are doing and multiple problems that we are resolving. So this is just one of 4, and this one is the most important. Once you show this to 300 employees, what we do, what does it mean to be #1 sports platform in the world? First, we must not neglect live score. That's something people are used to. We are really fast. We have our scope of data, leagues, matches, sports is huge, and we must not neglect that. If you just watch this bullet, live score, you have a totally different subset of competitor companies. We are not focusing on competition, but if you want to be top, you have to, compare yourself with someone. Second point, that's data collection. There was also one small idea that started 5 years ago. Let's offer product for amateur and semi-professional leagues so that they can collect the data. They can, enter results and all the incidents live. So new product emerge, new vertical, editor, crowdsourcing. We have totally different competition in that part from the first bullet. Sports analytics, we would like to show all the statistics that we have in a fun and convenient way. That's the way we are different from all other products. We would like to integrate media. If you see just media, there are totally different apps focused to sports media. And social. I will show you one feature that was our little test, of the users. So what I want to say here is, when you want to be top sports platform in the world, it's not just live score. We detected 5 major verticals. Okay, this was an idea. We have a functionality in the events that we call chat. It's really chat. It looks like WhatsApp. And the funny thing is, people are really engaged in this chat. They are writing all sorts of messages. Some of them are, like really crazy sport fans. Some of them are like hooligans trying to put some offensive messages in that stuff. Some of them are little betters, who will win? I want to know, I want to bet. And what we added to the application was, okay, there are a lot of fans in the application. We saw the data, we saw the structure of the messages. Most of them are really fanatics, sports fanatics. Let's give them opportunity to light a flare, Bengalka. You know what flare is. So we put it inside the application and see we were trying to see what will happen. The first thing was little test. Let's see if people will even light Bengalka. And they were really turning it on. What we saw then is increased number of users entering the chat and even sharing the screenshots. You can see on the top, there is the number of the flares light for each of the teams. They started competing with each other in chat. Then we noticed, okay, is there a way that we can monetize this? So we give you 1 or 2 Bengalka flare. And then if you want to light another one, you have to go and see an ad, video ad. And what we did with this, these were really crazy, little tests. And you are sort of manipulating the users and to see how will he respond. The question was, are these users so engaged that they would like to pay something in the SofaScore and that we have completely different business model? Because this is just, display of ads. That if they are willing to pay something, Bengalka or whatever, or pay subscription to get you monthly package of players, then you have a totally different business model. This is how it looks when you light a flare. So how do you scale all these bunch of ideas on multiple cross-functional team? So I will first define cross-functional team. Cross-functional team is in tech industry is wrapped around the role that some call product manager, some call this role product owner. We call it product owner just because I like the description of the role. The product owner is the person that cares about the product the most. Product manager is that as well. But if in tech industry, it was much easier, you know, to hire people with product owner role. So what we did, we grew a lot in 1 year, and we defined cross-functional team around the product owner, and he has everything inside of that team. I called it Little Sofa. So each product team is Little Sofa score. So it has a product owner. I call them Zlatkici, Little Zlatko, and he must know, he must know, you know, his segment, his business. So he's part of the business. His right hand and the left hand, depending on the moment, are product designer and tech lead. These are his major partners inside of the team. Product designer is really, really important when you are discovering stuff. So you do not want to push something into the development until you're pretty sure that it will succeed. So you need a good prototype. You need to show the prototype as much as possible to the end users. Also, each product owner has Android, iOS, front-end, and back-end developers, depending on the size of the stream of product that he owns. What we did, we divided all the roadmap into something that we call product streams. And since it's one application, it was really, you know, you have to be careful about the technical issues because 4 or 5 teams are working on the same code base. And you have to, you know, somehow make the borders so there are no conflicts. These are current product streams. I call it product streams. It's like, you know, some section of product. These are some hybrid between technical division of the product and something that we need at this point of time. In 1 quarter or 2 quarters, this will not look like this. So the first stream is there is one team, there is one product owner. The major responsibility is general user experience and football. So football is the sport. Second one is sports stream. Handle all other sports. The good thing is that the screens in the application and source code is divided so that they do not interrupt each other. Social and media is the third one. Monetization and gamification, fourth one. AI team and data feeds. Data feeds guys are doing all the data stuff that they need to do. Okay, as we grew a lot in last year, you have a lot of developers, a lot of employees that are new in the company. And you always hear this dogma, you know, product team must have its autonomy and they need to find and work way out and all that. And I'm all for that. But there are 2 extremes. Give them full autonomy. With the new employees and everything, there is a huge risk they will go in totally different direction that we do not see in the future. Another extreme is centralized decisions. It's like, you know, there is a CEO, there is a board, some kind of a board. We are watching the ideas, we are watching, you know, the prototypes, and we are saying this yes, this no. So you need to balance. We decided to balance. I would just give 2 examples. Autonomy of the cross-functional team. I think Spotify was, you know, major lead in that. You need to have autonomy in the team and all of that. Other extreme centralized decisions, Apple. It's physical. It's all you cannot just play around with it. Some of the decision to put, you know, when you double click on the button and the card appears, Apple Pay appears, that was a centralized decision. It was not like some team autonomous said, oh, it would be cool, you know, to run Apple Pay on that. We are balancing. We decided in this year to collect the teams, at least to review the major prototypes and to review the major ideas. $1 million question, invest in football or other sports? So football it's crazy. When you see the data, it's like nothing can compare to that sport. Number of users, engagement, posts and social networking around these features, football feature, it's just crazy. But we said, for all sports, we want to be application for all sports. And we are working a lot on other sports, but how to decide? I will give you just two examples, two great examples. One sport, it's not really familiar here in Croatia, is cricket. And we had an idea, okay, let's try to extend to Asia, to India market, Bangladesh, Pakistan, they love cricket. And nobody in company knew how cricket was played. There was one product manager, and I mentioned him a lot. He took a little book of cricket. It's not even short. There are multiple versions of cricket, not just one. And he read it every weekend, and for a whole month he would sit every weekend and watch cricket, matches. And he said, "Okay, I think I know what we can do." He analyzed multiple applications that already existed on cricket, and he created some visualization of cricket game that did not exist and still do not exist in any other application. That was a good example of how we were underdog here. We did not have any features, but we developed features that are that people are speaking about right now. The other examples are ice hockey. We have some features that other ice hockey, even American, USA ones do not have. But I would like to tell you a story about mixed martial arts and how can you are watching the data and you make a mistake. You think, yeah, we analyzed the data, everything was great. So we had a really long specification about what we wanted from mixed martial arts. And it's great. It's going to be the best app in the world on the mixed martial arts. And what we also analyzed how popular the sport is, and it was really popular. It was in USA like top, and all around the world, And then we said, okay, we will develop it, and we developed it immediately from the specification, water flow on steroids, and we developed it, and then we released it, and now we are watching, number of users will grow, everybody will go into it, and we were watching the data, first month, second month, quarter two. What is problem? We did not recognize, we did not ask ourselves, what is our business model? We need more users, and we need more engagement. Users are engaged when you have some kind of sports match. Mixed martial art is really popular, but when you count down all the matches in a year, it's like 1-2% of the football, just by analyzing that. Great app, great sport, but we did not do our homework well. And this is my last slide. It's really the last thing that we are looking. We are always looking at the competition, but we are not focused on it. We would like competition to follow us. And that happened in the last 10 years, and I hope it will happen for next 10 years. Thank you.
There we are. Marian Živic, fantastic. Before you go again, open up the floor. If there's a question, hand up now, and I'll pass you the mic. Any questions at all? There's a man right over there.
Thank you, Marian, for the great presentation. I really enjoyed it. One question, can you elaborate a little bit more on why did you decide to be an application for all sports and not only for the football?
Okay. Football has a seasonality. And our chart goes like this, always, each year, except Corona year. That was specific one, it was like this. And this is June and July. Nothing happens in football, except maybe Latin America. Tennis, and what we were also afraid of, there is one major competitor that had multiple sports. That was one case. And the other, if you do football and do the features really well and design them a lot, you are risking to have something called feature creep. you have a lot of features, and then the application, it's like, you know, really crowded with features, and you start to lose users. Then we said, okay, we have ability, we know how, let's do the other sports. And it was really basketball and tennis, and the statistics on basketball and these are really, you know, the next top sports. Tennis is great because it's all over the year. It's like uniformly distributed.
I think that's it. I would ask one last question. I'm not going to ask it. I'll find out the answer later on. But I guess a lot of us here would probably like to know the answer as well. We saw earlier on Modric on the screen. We all saw that online. And when we saw he was associated with Sofa School, we thought that's cool. I'd love to know, you can tell me later, the story, the quick story of how you approached him, how he said yes, and how it's moving forward. Don't think about it. We'll talk about it later. Ladies and gentlemen, Marian Živić. So interesting, isn't it? It's intriguing. Right, we move on now to our next session right now. And this is looking at the perfect product owner. Now, if you are a product owner, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, look at me. I've got all the skill. I've got it all. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. We'll find out very shortly. But we're going to find out now really the kind of essential qualities. And maybe you'll be surprised that there are certain soft skills and certain attributes that you may have, I'm sure you do, that maybe you'll be surprised in having really, that really helps success really wherever you are and whatever industry you're in this role. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage right now, Maria Matukanovic.
Hello, everybody. You heard about SofaScore, but let me just ask you who heard about Andrit's Digital Factory, and I didn't tell you about it in the last 3 hours. Okay, perfect, one person. So I'm coming from Andrit's Digital Factory, a company that is newly formed in Zagreb, but is part of Andrit's group, which is a completely different industry than normal IT companies in Croatia, and that's in manufacturing, in metals, paper industry, hydro, and automatization of different industrial plants. So, but although I'm coming from IDF, I have to say that today's session is it represents my own observations, my own personal viewpoints, and doesn't represent the official view of the company. So let's start. Before actually I go with the topic, let's introduce myself a little bit more, share some facts about myself so you know who you have for you. So first of all, I would say for myself that I'm a family person. I am proud mother of 2 young boys and a husband who is my biggest supporter and fan. Also, I consider myself to have the viewpoint that I'm early adopter to different kind of industry changes in IT, technology, but generally also I'm quite intrigued about innovation, and I like to try it out on my own. Also, I consider, actually I am a fighter, because personally I did train fighting sports for years, so I don't back up of any kind of conflict, but also I fight for actually having some kind of synergy between personal life and business life. Also, the right to be your authentic self and have your own integrity in things you do. This comes together with the promoter. I actually want to be the one who I'm asking to see in others. So I want to be the change I want to see also in others. So that's why I promote different kind of organizations, events that I find that they are in my value setup. So one of them is mentoring bites. So I support IT professionals as a mentor in it. One interesting topic for me is also AI. I consider myself AI enthusiast because personally I'm quite involved in AI even before the startup of these tools that are for the end customer oriented. But today I'm here because I'm quite a product person in my bones. I work in product for 10 last years, and I was involved in really different kind of companies, organizations, and industries. So let's start with my own experience, what I did see happening in different companies, on the a level of size they are in, or also industries. Oh, I have to start that I had a really great opportunity, which I took, to be part of different kind of organizations in my student years. So even in my students' years, I had a possibility to actually learn and get some sense of the real sector even before I started with my official job. In my years, like that meant that I was in also getting some experience in online marketing, and which led me to create my own personal online marketing campaign for finding my first job, which was actually quite successful because I landed on all the portals in Croatian market, and I landed my first job in a period of crisis. So this led me to my first employee as online marketer. That was a really interesting company because I had a chance to quite learn a lot about online marketing, but also ROI. Because back then, 12 years ago, ROI was not so, it was not quite invented. And the only problem with online marketing was that you cannot track the results that are coming from your online marketing. So my experience to learn about that was quite important for me and also for like that industry. But also back then, I first time got the reality check with the companies, and that is when I was asked to work in administration. You can imagine like online marketing and administration doesn't have too much things in common. So I was forced to actually learn to have hard conversations with the management, to have hard conversation about like also my integrity, my point of view of things, also to think about my actually future in the business and what I wanted to achieve. So that's why like I changed that company. I started with a startup. The startup was really interesting because we had a sponsor from Australia. And it was a really small team, only 10 of us, like 8 developers, myself as a product manager, and the CEO of the startup. So I had a lot of responsibilities, but I was really grateful that I get the chance to be actually first-time product manager in my career, but also to be introduced with Agile. So we are talking about now 10 years ago, Jira, Confluence, Sprints, like anything like Kanban was not really familiar, especially in Croatian market. So when I started to learn back then about that and started to be forced to actually to live by that, I made a shift also in my career to like really to go into this product world. So after that, as it comes with the startups, when the sponsor changed his point of view and what he wants to sponsor, the startup fails. So that was the case also here. So personally, I found that I want to go a little bit more stable in some stable environment. That meant changing the company in an industry. For me, it meant to go to telecommunication sector here in Croatia. So I went to the biggest company, telecommunication company, in their ICT department. So it was really challenging for me back then because first time I was faced with a company organization, a corporation organization, but also I was faced with politics. So for years I like struggled with that. I didn't want to face the reality that I have to learn about politics in companies, that I have to like learn who is who. But with the time I came to the conclusion, you have to know how things are being run. Like you have to know the processes in companies to be able to do your everyday workload. Because if you are not, then you actually will not be able to hit your goals. So politics, learning about it, it was really interesting, although the industry itself was completely different. Now we are talking about telecommunication, and I forgot to tell you that in this a startup, actually we did mobile applications for entertainment. So it was B2C model, and now it's B2B. So everything like changed, but the sense of my responsibility for me was reduced. Because in a sense, in big companies, you have to actually work with the bigger teams that are maybe 15, 17 people in the team, but they are from different departments and they are professionals from their departments. So actually, as a product person, you don't do so much work on your own. And maybe my colleagues from last company will disagree, but for my sense, when I compare it to to startup, it was a relief. But then again, it has also different sets of skills that you have to have. It's about budgeting, it's about business cases, it's about tracking also different kind of users and their needs, as we mentioned before. And also it was for me interesting because in this role, I had to track actually already established trends. When you are in startup, you are tracking what will be a trend. And you are trying to be this early adopter that jumps in the train before others. Like when you are in corporation, you actually follow already established trend. So was a little bit different approach. And my last actually company that I'm working right now, as I mentioned, is in completely different industry. It is still business to business model. It is still corporation, but we are in mixed feeling situation because on one hand, we are in early, so we are actually startup IT company in a big group because we are just 3 years old, as I mentioned. We are just building our team in one sense, but in the other sense, on your back, you have the corporation, which can be your shield, but also can be the one who really slows you down in your achievements or in what you want to achieve. So it is really interesting, and stakeholders management was here on another level. We did hear before that you have the ones who use your product, but you have also the ones who buy. And in manufacturing industry, the one who buys is really demanding, and there are many of them in this field. So it is really a skill set for managing stakeholders was essential actually in this company and still is. And one also a little bit different for me experience was that I actually have to sell IT to engineers. Like engineers, not the engineers that are working in AI and already know about it, but engineers that are working in metal industry. And I have to sell them the product approach. So it was quite interesting, but in the end, there comes to one thing. If you want to change your job, if you want to go into different sizes of companies, if you want to shift your different industries, it comes that you as a product person are asked from the management in one hand, but also silently asked to have certain soft skills rather than hard skills. Because every industry, every company is, the domain knowledge is there and it can be really duplicated to another company. So every domain knowledge is something you can quite easier learn than you can change your personal soft skills. So let's talk about actually the essentials. Let's talk about what were the universal skill set that I was asked to have and what I recognize that I actually as a product person need to have. First of all is to be able to adapt. My colleagues, even in development department, often say one sentence, and it is but in my last company we did it like this. It's great that you did. Good for you. But you are now in a different setup. You are now a different environment. And the most important thing is to be able to recognize your current environment, to recognize what are your possibilities in a new company, new industry, what are also your limitations, and what are expectations of the management or even product team or customer in the end, in the industry you are right now. So being able to do this shift and also be able to learn about the domain itself is a skill that product people really have to have. Sorry. Another thing is we talked about it, and it's always talked about in the product conferences, is the communication. In essence, product people are translators. We are. You have different sizes, teams with different kind of roles. Sometimes you will have Scrum Master, sometimes you will not. Sometimes you will have team lead, sometimes you will not. But in the end, it is essential that you can translate the wording of one role with specific background to another role. So, and that they like really agree with you what you said. So for me, it was really interesting to see that wherever I go, like for me, it's really important. And when I have like different engineers or like marketing, sales, even my management and my team, that I can repeat the words or like the sentence what said like the management, I can repeat to the team so my team understands it. I can repeat the sales person like statement to the development team and they can actually understand it. Because it's not only like that we are speaking different languages like Croatian, English or German, whatever. It is that we in Croatian language speak different languages based on our role or our background. So this translator skill set is actually quite important. Of course, there comes with it, there's importance of clear communication in your emails or like all of that, but this is what I want to highlight. One thing that I didn't hear so often is to be process acumen. What does this really mean? When you are changing companies based on size, industries, and so, the most important thing for you is to understand how things are being run. Like, what is the process of that company? If you understand the process of the company, you know what are expectations, what you have to do on your daily basis, what is your scope of work. Like, and we are bad actually in processes. We don't really give them importance that they deserve. So being the person who understands what is the process of the company and like really to go a little bit deeper into it is quite essential. For myself, when I was in telecom, I was working in standard product team that didn't have anything standardized. So first thing I did with my colleague back then, we like made a draft version of the processes or all the platforms that they are, so you can actually know what needs to be done as a new colleague, but also you know what needs to be done as one like a professional that's working there. We mentioned this strategic vision. It's important. Like I will not repeat myself because I really agree with Marianne about it. So it is really important to know where you are going to go. I mentioned it's important to know like what's your current boundaries and like possibilities, but it's also important to know for each of the product where you want to be in 1 month, what is your goal for half year, and like what is for 1 year or 3 years. So it really depends on the industry you are in, because some, as we mentioned, are early adopters, some like mature, some are like later, will later jump into the train. But nevertheless, like you have to have this viewpoint. And one interesting soft skill is also motivation. Like every product person that ever worked in one team knows that there is no team that is same, and there is, at least in my experience, no two people same in the one team. So you have to be like really to adapt to how to motivate people to really do their work. Sometimes it's friend card, like the beer card. Sometimes it is like to go on the ego, professionalism, but it's always something. And it's essential if you want to be like good in your work to get to get familiar with different strategies to motivate people and like to really be actually good in it. One of the things what is really important for myself and is this gender perspective in product. It's not talked about. For years, I was not sure that this actually existed. I was thinking that maybe this is my BS. Like, I'm a woman, I find myself alone in the meetings with like a man, but maybe this is my BS. So, but as a product person, I had to analyze others. I had to go to different kind of stakeholders. So I talked with my colleagues. I talked with actually top women recognized by by world to be top product woman, and all of them said the same thing. They are feeling it, but it is hard to talk about it because you don't want to play the victim card. So I'm not going too deep into this conversation, but I will say like two important things. What I found out is, first of all, women are asked to do work that is not specific enough and are like requested or like expecting is that they will not ask too much questions and do the work. So they should be ambitious enough to work And they should be professional enough to do the work, but they should not ask about like raise of salary or any kind of other benefits. So this is what one universal thing that I will let you like think about it from your perspective where you are. The second thing is actually women are afraid to speak about their achievements. So although like you do have some experience, you do have some results, you don't speak about that because quite often they find themselves like not sure, is this good enough? Or maybe this is too basic to be proud of. So when my current employee, like who has 35,000 people like around the world, made like a request for women to share their achievements for like Women's Day, nobody answered it because the fear of like being exposed is bigger than the benefits of you sharing your results. So if you're a woman, think about that. Think about how often you speak about your achievements. But also, if you are an employee who is hiring, who is like doing evaluation of performances, or like just like generally you have colleagues, a woman who are your colleagues. Think about this next time you are hiring somebody. Are you really without bias on, or are you really having some different expectations based on gender? There is a lot of things to be said here, but let's leave it by that. So this is what was my experience last more than 10 years. This was what is what is right now. But let's talk about future. We already mentioned AI today in the session, but let me ask you, like just raising your hands, how many of you think that really AI is going to change your everyday life, like workload? It is, maybe half. So the thing is, most of the analytics and like research done by right now shows that in future, half of workload of product people will be managed or can be managed by machine. So let's talk about future. Let's talk about what does this really mean to us. Actually, the biggest point is that we should be what we are. We should stay actually early adopters. So if you are in the product, most like certainly you did have this sense of to be early adopter because you're in the field that doesn't have official education about it. So let's keep being what we are, early adopters to the changes. How to do it? So there are two things. There is technology integration and there is a personal development. Let's go a little bit deeper into technology integration and like really recognizing tasks that AI can do for us. And also one observation to be said here. This is this is like suggested for product people that are working in non-AI companies. So if you are already working in an AI company, most of these things like maybe seems for you too basic, but for non-AI companies, this could be interesting. So let's see. Regarding technology integration, like we have to do some kind of automatization of our foundations. What does this really mean? It means that first of all, you have to learn about AI. It's coming, it's here, it's going to happen. So like do your homework, like get into it, learn about it, and then try to figure out tools that can really help you automate your, for example, data and analytics tasks. We did hear that SofaScore is already doing it, but everybody, whatever you are like doing, whatever your industry is, like if you are in IT, if you are the product person, try to find a tool who can help you do analytics of your data. This can be even something similar as simple as questionnaires that you have with your customers. So how many of you, like if you have questionnaire of and you ask 1,000 people and you have to analyze all of these questions and group them or something, like you lose time. But with AI tools, you can really increase that. I see more than 5, but yeah, okay. And also like find tools that will help you with your repetitive tasks. For example, minutes of meeting. Who hates minutes of meeting? I hate them. I hated them all my life. And like writing down what we have said and writing to-do list is one of the like tasks that I really don't love, but AI tool can help me with it like in minutes. Regarding personal development, there is a good thing there, because actually we should be what we are, be human. AI is great. It can do really good analytic tasks, it is like really good, but being human is something that it, for now, cannot. And we should focus in our personal development of to being human, because understanding new problems is hard for AI. Understanding like how to creatively resolve that problem is hard for AI. So these are the things that we are good in. Especially product person who is like good in communication also is good in recognizing what is not being said, or like the second meaning of something, or like the behavior, also like the non-spoken politics in your company. So these are the things that we have to focus and because these are the things that AI cannot do, because AI works on quality data, and if it's not data, it's like it is not in the formula. So let's read between the lines, and let's focus on like these skills that make us human. But there's also another thing. Product teams are most of the time the teams that bring change to the company itself. Like they bring innovation to the company itself. So we have to be a change agent also again for our companies, and also to like let them know that this AI revolution is coming, and it is influencing our workload. So what does this really mean? IT industry is in a really specific place right now. So IT first time in history has to do transformation. For now, it was digital transformation that we brought to other industries. But right now, AI transformation is something that we have to do on our own, and we are not ready for it. Like normal companies are not ready to such a drastic change. But as a product person, you have actually, as you should be early adopter of it, you should understand it, and you should like really learn that the state of your quality of your information that you have in your products, and generally state of your processes, because you would be familiar with the processes, you would know how your company can actually achieve this transformation. When I'm saying this, I mean like, I don't know if you're familiar with, but there are 5 stages of process maturity of a company. And IT companies, actually, majority of them, if they are not connected already with AI, so generally speaking, are really bad in it. Because the basic process of input process, output is not clear for us. We are not really sure what is our input and how it really connects with the process and what we are going to gain it. But if you are not clear in it, and if you don't understand your maturity level, you cannot transform your whole company, because it's not good enough that you insert AI parts in your products. So you will not do the transformation like that. It is needed that you really transform all your organization, from like logistics, hire, like all your organization, to be able to really do this AI transformation that in the end will bring you so much benefits also in your product department. Business model is also something that is talked about, and I see like this is a topic for itself. But I see really also companies, IT companies, thinking about transformation in old ways, thinking about skeletons, thinking about models that you can like repeat or like reuse some code base. So this is quite old-fashioned way of thinking about transformation. So also thinking about really innovative business models for companies is something that really has to be highlighted, and product people are actually really good in it. So we should help our companies achieve it. Of course, continuous learning is a must. In every session till now, it was said that we should learn, that we should like continuously learn. And this is a mindset that actually product persons actually are really, again, good. And we should keep being like, keep seeking a new knowledge and continuously learn about even AI, about implementation of AI in our everyday work, and implementation in a product we are working in. So as I'm in my last minute, let's just capture everything. So my key takeaways are like that in product world, actually soft skills matter more. Not saying that the technical skills are not important. They are, but they are really easier to gain or to learn than it is these soft skills. Additional thing is understanding process. I cannot highlight this enough, but if you understand the process in your current environment, then you understand the company. Then you understand the product itself. Then you understand your scope of work. And as said, involving with AI is again a must for us because we are not talking enough about it. We are talking it about only in a sense of maybe involving some model in our product, so it's AI product now. But if we want to really gain big from AI, we have to do it all around. So this is quite it from me. If you have any questions or want to stay in touch, let's connect on LinkedIn, and also you can ask me whatever you want in the sessions, between the sessions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maria Matukanovic. Fantastic. Do you think there's any questions? Let's see. Do you think so? Let's see. Any questions for Maria, maybe? Anything you'd like to ask? Is that a yes? Is that, or you just clapping? You just put hand signals? Okay, you can have a chat later on. There we are. Maria, thank you so much. Wonderful. Right, we move on. There we are. Another clap for her. Wonderful. Right. OKRs, objectives and key results. More importantly, introducing these into large companies is the next topic of what we're about to hear right now. In large organizations, highlighting the significance of training, clarity, and localization. We're going to jump into some insights and perspectives, but maybe more importantly, the challenges and the lessons learned. The lessons learned that hopefully will help you learn these lessons as well and make better decisions. Let's hear. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage right now, Product Management Academy Director, AEB, Mr. Franco Gatti.
Thank you. Thank you. So I guess this works, right? Yeah. Thrilled to be here. You know what I love about being in a room full of product people? That if I tell you what I do for a living, you know exactly what I mean. It's not like the usual conversation like, oh, you're a product manager. What does that mean? What is exactly do you for a living? However, I just realized that I'm the last obstacle between you and lunch. So when I found that out, I thought that I would probably give you a little present to make you like me a little bit more. So this is a little booklet that we created in my company. We have a strong focus on customer centricity. I think we've been talking about this in earlier sections. So this is a booklet about tools that you can use in the design thinking workshop. So we found it pretty useful, and we give it around a little bit. So I don't think I have enough copies for everyone, but if you are interested in it and you cannot get one, connect with me in LinkedIn, and I will be happy to send you a digital version. Good. So I'm a physicist by education, software engineer by trade, and a product manager by accident. So what does that mean? Well, I graduated in physics under the misguided dream that one day I will work in some fancy places like the Fermi Lab in Chicago or the CERN in Geneva. That didn't happen. But I did have a plan B. And the plan B was getting a degree in computer science. So that's how I started working, because at that time, that was a very long time ago, if you knew how to spell computer, you were considered a guru in the industry, right? So it was easy to get jobs at that time. And then, after more or less 20 years in software engineering, someone told me, oh, you're good. Move to product management. Like, you're a good marketer, move to product management. You're a good salesperson, move to product management. You're a good veterinarian, move to heart surgery. Hold on, wait a minute. Humans are different animals. So the question here is, how many of you have moved into product management with a formal education? Few, very few. So that's exactly what I mean. The accidental profession, that's us. So anyway, is this? Okay, good. So I'm going to tell you the story today of probably the largest organizational transformation that I've been involved with in my career. And I will give you the context and then guide you through the steps of the adoption and what we learned along the way. So think about, oops, not the other one. Okay, yes. Think about the big cruise ship, happily sailing through the seas, going to wonderful destination, ignoring, small movement, small waves. It's so big and it's very stable. So size has advantages like the ones I just mentioned, but also disadvantages, very slow to turn. So why I'm using this metaphor? Because the organization I'm talking about is about 10,000 people and moving around $4 billion in revenues per year. So that's a pretty big ship, right? And let me take you back to 2019. Smooth sailing. Business was good, stable, we knew what to do. And then what happened in 2020? COVID happened. So we kind of sailed through it. Obviously, there was some rocking, but we did manage going through it. 2022, war in Ukraine, another big shock. Remember, the shortage in gas or the fear of shortage in gas coming from Russia. So there was another big event. Take you to 2024, again, smooth sailing. As a matter of fact, we had the record year. So we have to wonder, was that some resilience that we had in the organization? Was that other factor? Well, my company deals in electrical solutions, products, services, and so on. So we are in a pretty sweet spot at this time, so luck helped. But what is next? Is everyone familiar with the concept of a black swan? The black swan is an unpredictable event that will throw your strategy out of the window. So what happens when we get the next black swan? Should we hope that what worked before will continue to work? Well, got news for you guys. Hope is not a strategy. And neither is luck, by the way. So, what we have seen is a clear and painful manifestation of what we call the VUCA world. The VUCA are those 4 different situations that are very common in nowadays world. What does it mean in practical terms? That means that it becomes more and more unpredictable what's going to happen and to make long-term plans, and a lot higher risk for organizations to deal with. So what do we need to respond to VUCA? Being more dynamic and flexible, to be able to adapt to the changing situation in the world, okay? And the obvious choice to answer that, well, we need to become more agile. But be careful here, because what we are talking here is not doing agile. Let me just go to this slide, okay? There is a fundamental difference between being agile and doing agile. And it's kind of described by this tree where the concept of agility are in the roots, where you need to build on top. Doing agile is adopting the practices, the tools, the ceremonies. But you know what? Just doing agile is not going to make your organization more agile. So I'm sorry if this may displease someone, but introducing agile practices, it will not make your company an agile company. So you may wonder, but hold on a second, wasn't this about OKRs? So don't worry, I'm not going to tell you about digital transformation, agile transformation, but it's important for you to understand the context, because you recognize this, right? This is the essence of the Agile Manifesto, are the 4 core principles of Agile. Someone might tell you this was the sorry excuse for software developers not to write documentation, but okay, let's not debate on that. And so each one of those core values maps very well into some of the properties of OKRs. So, for example, if you focus on individual interactions, well, OKR promote collaboration, collaborations across organization and promotes interconnections. Okay, customer collaboration. OKR is all about shifting your mindset to outcome. Don't measure output, measure outcomes, so the impact that you are making on the customer, okay? So that drives strongly customer collaboration. Working product, well, if you have not read the book by John Doerr, Measure What Matters, I strongly encourage you to do, because that's all about measuring the tangible outcomes that you deliver to the customer, okay? So the focus on something that actually delivers value. And last but not least is responding to change. in an OKR, there is these two elements, the objective and the key result. Objective is your long-term vision, what keeps you on track, what gives you the guardrails, so to speak. But then you measure it on a more frequent basis by addressing specific key results. All of this, and I did not put it here, but all of what it does is also creating alignment across the organization. Because you see, this is a big change to introduce in a company of 10,000 people. This is where the cruise ship metaphor falls apart. Why? Because if you want to turn a ship, there is the helm, and the ship, because it's structurally solid, will turn around as a whole. Well, guess what? That doesn't happen in organization. Organization is made of hundreds of teams, each one moving independently. So if you want to turn an organization, you need to make sure that all the components turn at the same time. So they need to be aligned. Okay? And that's also another advantage we want to introduce by the adoption of OKR. A little bit the model of a swarm, you know? A swarm moves as a whole because every bird in the swarm turns at the same time. So that was one other objective that we wanted to achieve. Now, being also a product manager, I will take you through the different steps. It's a big change. Change of this dimension need to be driven with a firm hand on the helm. Okay, so we decided to adopt a framework, which is the framework which is called the ADKAR. I don't know if you have ever heard of it. It takes the organization and the change process through 5 phases. The first 3 is what we call the enablement zone. So is when you prepare the organization to implement the change. And the last 2 phases are the ones about that happens when you go live. Okay, so we will examine what should be done in each one of these. What did we do, and what did we do well, and what we did not do so well. And that's where we will get the lessons learned. And this is where we'll concentrate on the OKR part. I'm not giving theory about OKR. This is not an academic session, and this is not a lecture, also because a lecture before lunch will probably not be very successful. So it's just a sharing of experiences, okay? And let's start with the first phase. So the awareness phase is when you make sure that the organization know why are you introducing a change. And what the theory of the ADKAR model tells you is that you need to make sure that you explain all the reasonings behind, what are the triggers, what are the motivation, what are the objectives that you want to achieve, but also create a good connection with the people. So to be able to explain, to answer a question and everything else. What we did here was a fundamental mistake, so to speak. We did very well the communication about the overall agile transformation, but we didn't spend so much time focusing on the OKR. So it was perceived by a lot of people like, you know, just a simple tool, a way of organizing numbers. It's just a different name for KPIs. Well, okay, no, that's really not what it was. So we kind of missed the focus on aligning the organization on why we adopted OKR in the context of the overall digital transformation. Number one point to remember. The second phase, the phase of desire. Now that the organization understands why you are making a change, they need to embrace it. They need to want to be part of it and contribute to the success of it, okay? So, what the theory tells is that you need to have a firm understanding of the reactions. You need to create champions in the organization that can promote the change and identify areas of resistance where you need to focus your attention. You really need to align the organization around the desire. And also for OKR, we did quite a lot of that because we did create a large team of change agents that would talk to people, sit in forums, sit in the context, gauge, you know, a little bit like some sort of a listening network for that. And we put a lot of focus on how the OKR actually empower people to solve problem in creative ways, having clear in mind what is the problem that you want to solve. However, a lot of people, as a consequence of the first mistake, was just saying, yeah, but these are just the standard KPIs. We are using different names. That's nothing important. So we kept measuring what doesn't matter. Remember, measure what matters is the mantra for OKR. Measure what matters. So that's what we were doing here. And what we failed to do is also to bring in some real life examples. So, bring some best practices from other industries, some showing the ways things were done and were done successfully by other companies. So make it a little bit more real. The next step is the knowledge. Now, here you need to make sure that all the people in the organization know how to deal with the different components. In this case, know how to create OKRs. Here we made an important mistake. We confused, and I know that a lot of people make that mistake, unfortunately. We confused development with training. Development is a lot more than training. In my company, we organized, especially in the talent management community of my company, we organized development in 3 parts. There is the off-the-job training, off-the-job development, along the job, and on the job. Off the job is training. We dedicate 10% of the effort on this part. Along the job is coaching, mentoring, peer support. We dedicate 20% of this. The rest is on the job training. That's 70%. Is actually a common model in the industry. It's called the 10-20-70. And we focused a lot on the 10%. We created trainings, we provided trainings for OKR Foundation, training for OKR coaching. But we assumed that after having taken the training, well, everybody knew how to use it. Well, guess what? If you use OKR in your organization, you know that it's extremely hard to write powerful OKRs. The temptation is that your key results have become a task list. Then it's a waste of time. If you do it like that, it's a waste of time. You're not getting any value from the use of OKR. And so that's the mistake we made. We did not focus enough on coaching people, on helping them creating their own, so on the job. So that's another important lesson that we learned doing this. This 3, as I said, is the enablement zone. So this is what was done before kicking off, before going live with the new organization. Then we have the 2 phases where you kick off, and you need to make sure that the organization is able to put in action what they learn. Classical example is you teach people to use a certain, I don't know, a new travel reporting, travel expense reporting system. Okay, so you organize the training, teach everybody how to do it, but then the system needs to be accessible to everyone. Because if you connect and then it breaks down, then the ability phase breaks down. In our case, a lot more complicated than that. And what you need to do here is just to make sure that you have practice run, make sure that all of the tools supporting transformation are in place, accessible and operational, and keep a close eye on how the things go in the beginning. We did part of that. Because we ran several pilots before, and we focused on selecting a tool that would support a lot of different work streams in transformation. OKR was just one of them. The problem with this is the tool that we selected was a big monster. And for people that only needed to use it for OKR documentation and tracking, it was extremely difficult to use. And there was not, so being a little bit user experience pretty poor, it was difficult also to monitor the quality of the OKR and to give transparencies to the tracking, because another element that you may want to remember when using OKRs, don't just put it there. You need to track them. You need to monitor that you are moving the key results in the direction that they want to go, that you want them to go. And the last phase is when the transformation is operational. You need to continuously monitor the progress, continuously monitor that your big boat is moving in the direction you want to go. Okay, and reinforce it. So you need to reward positive behavior, and you need to detect immediately potentially negative behavior. So once you've done all the first 4 phases, you are not done. So this is continuing during the lifetime of the transformation. So we do actually celebrate some quick wins. So we want to give the sense that the organization is responding and operating well. However, not being able to track the progress of the OKR in intuitive ways is really difficult to tell quantitatively how successful we are being. Okay, so this is a summary. And talking about tracking, I did mention John Doerr, the author of the book, that I again strongly recommend. John Doerr, for those of you who are not familiar with the person, is a venture capitalist, which is an enthusiastic environmentalist. And in fact, in his venture capital company, he shifted, I think, 70% of the investments to environmentally conscious companies and initiatives. And to support his view, he created an initiative which is called Speed and Scale. And I also encourage you to look that up because there is a website where he basically created a plan for saving the climate crisis with 6 OKRs. To me, that's a masterpiece. I really encourage you to look it up because he actually tracks the result. So if you want to have a look at some practical example on a very large scale. So, what are the lessons learned? I summarize here what I already mentioned along the ADKAR roadmap. Okay, so the first lessons learned is that your communication needs to be effective and on point. Okay, and so what are we doing? We are organizing monthly OKR clinics. So where people can join the free with an expert, with an expert OKR coach, raise questions for discussions, problems that they had, challenges that they are facing, and they can discuss it in the community. We also started circulating a newsletter with some quick updates and lessons that we learn along the way to socialize the learning experience, so to speak. And also on a quarterly basis, we have town hall. So where we bring all of the product owners to share their experiences and discuss, give updates and so on. So there is no such thing as too much communication when it comes to this kind of transformation. So you really need to be obsessive communicator in this point. In real life examples, we encourage people to post on internal channels their OKRs, just to collect feedback, to start discussions, or if they've been considered successful, also to create a library of best practices and examples that we can go back to. And we also bring in, more or less on a quarterly basis, some expert from outside to give master lectures on specific topics. We invited Jeff Goethals. We haven't had him yet, but we are working on the next one. So we had some interesting people coming in and being inspirational speakers to the OKR community. Training, of course, but actually that's a mistake. Invest in development. Because yes, training we had, what we also created is the opportunity, the access to a community of expert OKR coaches. So we have a sort of an OKR portal where you can go in and book a one-on-one sessions with one OKR coach that can help you with challenges, move along, and can help you, review the quality of your OKRs. In reality, we also have the possibility to share the OKR that we created with one of the experts, and they will give us feedback on what is good and what needs to be changed and improved. So a lot of support along the way. And that's the review and feedback. And we also introduced the concept, use the word quality inspection, which really sounds bad, but it's a sort of a peer review. So we have the opportunity across teams to share the OKR that we created and help have them give us their feedback and their suggestions and their opinions. We didn't talk too much about localization. For those of you who are not familiar, there is this concept of a hierarchy of OKRs, where you have, which may be not significant in a smaller startup, but in a large organization where you have, we simplify the organization, but we still have 3 layers. So we have the senior level, so let me say the overall organization management OKRs, which translate into the large, we call them agile units OKR, which translates into the agile teams OKR. So we have 3 layers. See, the problem is, how do you keep, remember that we need to keep the whole organization moving into the same directions, because otherwise the boat falls apart. Okay. The localization process is the one that guarantees that, because the way it practically works, the level below in the organization will take one or more of the OKRs from the top level, sits down and discuss with the team how we can contribute. And you can repeat that at the lower level. So there is a clear link between the OKRs at all 3 levels. So this is what drives the localization. This was not done very well because in the first couple of months of the go live, the first quarterly, we call the QBR, the quarterly business review, which is the time when you actually update your OKRs. It was kind of coming top down. And that defeats the purpose of being a collaboration tool. So we focused a lot on driving this localization process, and to that purpose, we leverage the Scrum Masters community. We have about 84 or 85 teams in this organization, and we have 1 Scrum Master for every 2 teams. So the community of the Scrum Master is about 40 people. So we leverage this community to be also OKR coaches in the process, to make sure that the localization takes place in the way that is meant to be. Okay, and the last is we simplified the process of tracking the OKRs, so creating dedicated dashboards, which are a lot user and improves the user experience a lot. So in this way, we have a quasi real-time view of how things are going. Because remember, one of the fundamental principles of OKRs is that your key results, if you achieve all of your key results, you should have the reasonable certainty that you will make your objective. If you really want to believe this, you need to be able to track it on a constant basis. Okay. Now, wrapping it up, I summarize all of these things in 3 key areas. So the first key area is communication. There is no such thing as too much communication. You need to repeat the message, and you need to be obsessive in repeating the message to make sure that it gets across. The second part is education, but education, remember, in all of the 3 areas, is not just training. You also need to provide the continuous support after that, and the support during the execution on the job. And the last one is the 2 aspects of localizing. It needs to be done right. It needs to enforce collaboration, and it needs to ensure the alignment and the transparency. And that's a wrap. Thank you.
And that's a wrap. You caught me by surprise. Right, and all of us probably. Right, anybody have a question, perhaps? Gentleman there. Hold on a second.
Did you use any specific tool like Trello or something like that?
I wish we used Trello. We use Planisware. Anybody familiar with Planisware? It's a monster. That was a mistake. Yes.
Another question?
Yes.
Another question, hands up.
I mean, anyone here from Planisware will probably wait for me outside. The point is, the tool per se is not that bad, but it does a lot of things. It's actually an ecosystem for portfolio management. So, yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. Just like maybe I missed it. How much time did it take for you to implement all these changes?
That's a good point. You know, that's a good point. I didn't put it in there. The whole well. The answer need to be qualified in the sense that the times that I'm going to give you after overall transformation. So OKR was only a part of it. So the overall transformation took about 14, 15 months in the three phases, of awareness, desire, and knowledge, and the go live. The go live phase lasted about 2 quarters. So we are now after 12, 14 years, about almost 2 years overall.
Right, we've run out of time, unfortunately. It's been insightful, it's been resourceful, and I'm sure you agree, quite an interesting talk as well. Please, let hands together for Mr. Franco Gatti. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Right, after all that, I'm sure you have, just like me, built up an intriguing appetite as well. Guess what? Food is now being served in the area for food, which you had breakfast in, the lunch area on this floor. We will be kicking off back this afternoon at 2:30, all right? So we're going to do it sharp. We're going to be 2:30. We are kicking off. So whether you are here or not, we will be kicking off at 2:30. So join us a little bit later on, 45 minutes time, back here for more Product World 2024.
Uha, ovako.
Tako je. Još mikrofon malo bliže ustima, dole.
Kako, hoćete vi? Šta sad? Evo. Može?
Može.
Čuje
Ovo
se
tu vam
dobro.
ide u džep, ovdje hoćete.
Džep koji nemam. To ćemo onda ovako.
Ovo imate tu čep ili nemate?
Slušaj, samo ovako. Na pola mašite, ovako mi, na pola da znam da je pola. A 2 minute do, jer inače ću ja na 40. Pola. Pas. Da, ok, dobro. Čuje se? Lako. Idem s tobom. Evo ga. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today.